that special mood. But is it the candlelight or the drink that does the trick? KPSV Local 2's Arti Nehru in studio. She's been talking to wine expert David Wilson throughout the morning. Arti, a lot of people getting ready to ring in the new year, and they want to know, is it true? Is it not true? And are there aphrodisiac properties in certain wines and champagnes?
Well, Stella, the short answer is yes. There are aphrodisiac properties in certain wines and champagnes, but different drinks and flavors can have different effects on men versus women. I'll let our wine expert, David Wilson, explain and break it down for us. What are the drinks that work on men and what are the drinks that work on women?
Okay, well, first of all, champagne is the very best aphrodisiac wine, we'll call it wine, because it not only has the aromas that replicate the pheromones, the female pheromones, but also has the bubbles, which means that the alcohol is taken into the system at a much faster rate. But be very careful, because you can really overindulge with champagne. And if you're trying to get somebody in the mood, you know, don't overfeed them on champagne. Not a good idea. So for the women, champagne is perfect. Also Rieslings, like these musty old German Rieslings. Again, the same thing. They emulate the pheromones, the female pheromones, work very good.
What about for men?
Well, for men, it's as you might expect. It's big, leathery, tobacco-y cabs, red wines in general that have real strong masculine flavors and characteristics. That's what you want to go after. Like, this is a Frank family Cabernet Sauvignon. That will do the trick.
And we got some questions, but are there some good tips on ways to avoid headaches or hangovers after drinking some of these wines?
Well, first of all, a lot of people think that the headaches come from the sulfites in wine. It's really not true. There's more sulfites in lunch meat and dried fruit than there is in wine. It probably is the histamines in the wine. That's what most people believe. So really good idea, take an antihistamine before you start drinking wine. Take an Advil before you start drinking wine. Most importantly, don't drink cheap wine, and don't drink too much wine.
And Stella and I were talking about this earlier, but what if you're just not into champagne? What's a good alternative?
This is perfect. I've got it for you here. Take this, you can take any white wine, but take, for instance, this Riesling right here, and this nice little bottle of club soda, and you mix those. It'll have the bubbles of champagne. It'll have less alcohol than what you would get in champagne, so you're not going to get hungover, and you'll be right in with the in crowd, but nobody will know your secret except you.
Thank you so much, David. And you said you're going to be out at Jensen's this Saturday for some tasting if people are interested.
Oh, this is so good. Saturday morning, we're going to do our show Grape Encounters live, and we'll be at Jensen's Smoke Tree Commons. And you can come out. We're going to taste a lot of these champagnes. So don't buy your champagne yet. Come out and try some of these, because you're going to taste some great things that are very economical. Don't serve the cheap stuff, please. There's too many good wines out there.
Dave, I have a question for you. What is cheap? You know, there was like a trend, $2 Chuck. What's cheap wine? What's not cheap?
Well, definitely $2 Chuck is cheap, but word has it that $2 Chuck is eventually going to be $3 Chuck. But cheap, I think, is anything under $10. And like, for instance, we showed this is a Spanish cava. It's like a Spanish champagne. It's only $8.99 at Jensen's. That's a fabulous thing to drink for not very much money. So, you know, don't go to those big displays of the same champagnes that you've heard about all, you know, over and over again.
Right.
Because your wine merchant will point you to some very creative and fun things that are not expensive.
All right, so aphrodisiac. For women, it's Riesling.
Rieslings
white
and
champagne, and for men, it's the
Big Reds.
Big Reds. And do you hear the music playing? Do you hear it? No?
I don't hear it.
I hear it.
They didn't play. Okay.
Cue me in.
Let's get it on. Anyway, that's the song. Anyway, thank you guys.
You're very welcome.
Now, your hour-by-hour weather forecast with Carlene Chavis.
Charlie just messed up my groove.